Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Intel Extreme Masters Cologne, where we have the loudest crowd on planet Earth. Mind-boggling. It is day number 3 of our 4-day extravaganza of StarCraft 2 action at the Intel Extreme Masters here in Cologne. We've already had 2 fantastic days, but before we talk about what we've got coming up in the next 2 days, let's take a look at the road to Katowice, because ultimately that's what it's all about. We've already had 5 stops throughout the year, and StarCraft 2's final stop will be this weekend. Already seen that historic double back-to-back wins for Hero, and also Life and Revival claiming a title apiece as we head into round 5 and the last stop and the last chance to qualify for the World Championship. As you can see on your screen, some qualifiers have gone through NA, Europe, and of course Korea as well. And we've had some invites in the form of Tasia and SOS. 2 days of StarCraft 2 action has already disappeared. It's in the history books already. We had an amazing open bracket on day 1 with some really top quality players. And then yesterday we saw groups A and B. Today we'll concentrate on groups C and D, where the last remaining Zerg is fighting for his life. Tomorrow we'll have the quarterfinals, the semis, and the grand final. We've also got a tip-top cast of people to bring you the action, 2 of which are ready and waiting for me now. Let's go and join them. Apollo and Rhett. How you doing, guys?
Doing really, really good. I'm super excited because today Jaden was playing and he's kind of my hero, so...
Absolutely. I remember a story you told me yesterday that back in 2008 when you were playing Brood War, you actually met Jaedong in the group stage. He even remembers the game still. And he said to us, you said, do you remember that game, Jaedong? And he was like, yes, I stomped you in 6 minutes.
Yeah, with 6 Mutalisks. That's all it took for him to kill me that game.
It's all changed now, and Jaedong is our last surviving Zerg. We'll talk a little bit about that in a moment. Sean, interesting couple of days to start things off. Open bracket, very competitive. Yesterday, I think we probably saw the 4 that we expected to see go through. Do you think maybe today will spring a surprise?
Yeah, there might be a surprise today. But I think one thing that stood out yesterday was Jack G advancing through, because everyone's expecting Protoss to do really well. Dia didn't quite perform to his expectations, I think, his personal expectations. But today could be a really cool group. I think both of the groups are really interesting because everyone wants to see the big favorites do well. MC, Innovation, Jaedong, Polt, everyone wants to see those do well. But there's some pretty good players in the groups to challenge that.
Yeah. If you missed yesterday's extravaganza of StarCraft 2, as we said earlier on, this is what you missed. Groups A and B were completed. Rain and Hero went through in Group A in the all-Korean bracket. QXC, although finishing bottom at Group B, I have to say, put up a tremendous fight, took a map off Patience, and he might have even won the game had he done a little bit better in map 3 and things fallen his way. And Jack G, alongside Patience, making it through. Today we'll concentrate on Group C and D. Group D has Classic, Hero Marine, Innovation, and MC. We'll talk about Group C in just a moment, but Group D first, guys. Hero Marine, current EPS champion, 16 years of age, first Intel Extreme Masters, goes head-to-head with Innovation in Game 1.
Yeah, he's finally broken the age restrictions for him to actually play in tournaments now, WCS and, of course, EPS. He's doing really well, really well, especially online where he's performing, he's winning tournaments, he's qualifying for tournaments. But I have to say it, I think he's been dropped in the deep end here. This is, even though he's, pegged to do well for 2014, come on, look at that group.
Yeah, absolutely. It's stacked, isn't it? Classic and MC in that group as well.
Yeah, it's one of the harder groups you can get in. I mean, these guys are at the very top level of the game. And even though it's still really exciting to see how well Hero Marine can do, because he does have a lot of potential, today it's going to be extremely really tough for him.
Okay, we're going to take a look at Group C now. If you're not familiar with our format here at the Intel Extreme Masters in round of 16, it is dual tournament, which if you're familiar with the WCS, and why the hell wouldn't you be, you'll be very familiar with this system. It's the 4 players playing each other in the first game. The 2 winners will advance, and the winner of that game will be the first to qualify for the quarterfinals. The other 2 players do get a chance in the lower bracket, though, to come back down. We'll kick things off with Polt versus StarDust. Our second game, Mana and Jaedong, which he's just itching to talk about already, but we won't for now. We'll wait until that game kicks off. But Polt, StarDust, 2 players who are really in form, Sean. Polt last year, really good. Double WCS American champion, won 4 titles in all as well, really broke out last year as a top player. Only Tasia has more titles to his name in 2013. against StarDust, who is in the form of his life right now.
Yeah, he's playing so good. He also had a great 2013. He was able to break into the WCS Europe Premier League. He got 6th, I think it was, in the last season, in Season 3. And then most recently, just a couple of weeks ago, he played in the ASUS ROG tournament, the first, well, alongside Sao Paulo, major tournament of 2014. And the players he beat there, 3-0 Tasia. That just the player you just mentioned. He 3-0'd him. He was 3-0'ing a bunch of other Protoss players as well. Some top ones, Deer, San, the eventual tournament winner, or at least high finisher. Just overall remarkable. And he's definitely a favourite to advance in this group, if not further, much further.
Okay. For you, Rhett, Polt, does he have what it takes to go through against StarDust, or at least qualify from this very difficult group?
Yeah, I think he definitely has what it takes. I think he's living right now with Violet. And they both got their visa, and Polt is now done with school, so he's concentrating full-time once again on StarCraft. And whenever he did that in the past, he just got super, super good very fast. So we'll have to see what he does today.
Yeah, double Captain America's in that house, working nicely for him. Visa's already in place and playing through for WCS America. Of the group itself, who are the two favourites, Sean?
It's for me, and I hope everyone else, Jaedong and somebody. That somebody's either going to be StarDust or Polt. I'm not too sure. Polt's played really, really good in Sao Paulo, but I think the conditions got to him. The heat down there, it was extremely hot. We were all sweating. It was pretty bad. It was pretty bad. And then he got 3-0'd by Jakchi, but before that, he beat the eventual winner of the tournament in group stages, if you remember. He actually beat CJ Hero in group stages 2-1. So if it wasn't for the conditions it didn't get to him, Polt could have gone much, much deeper. So I really think it comes down to how well they're feeling today and how good they're going to play today to challenge for that.
Okay, thank you very much, gents. We'll catch up with Rhett and with Apollo a little bit later on in the programme. They're going to bring you game number 2. For now, we're almost ready for our first game of the day in Group C. Don't forget, you can interact with us via all the social media channels that you are used to. Facebook.com/IEM. Same on Twitter. And don't forget to use the hashtag #IEM if you'd like your 15 seconds of Andy Warhol fame, as it might well feature during the game. Also on youtube.com/IEM for all your latest video on demand. So don't make sure you've subscribed to the channel and you get all the latest news and information. It's time for game number 1 now in Group C, which means going over to our commentary team, who I know are super excited to kick off Group C. It's Kalaris and Todd.
Thanks very much, Paul. Oh, yes, I am. Polt versus StarDust. And for me, these are two titans at the moment of their respective matchups.
I completely agree. Yesterday, we saw some very high-level Protoss versus Terran, and I was actually thinking this could be the highest level of Protoss versus Terran we are going to see in this tournament. And then now I realize we have innovation left to play. We have Polts. Looking at the win ratio of these players here, this is ridiculous. Polt is around 67% versus Protoss right now, in a time where it's actually really hard for Terran to deal with whatever Protoss can do. In particular, the Storm play, I really feel is the main point right now that Terrans have the hardest time dealing with in the mid-game and early game, the Blinkstalkers. Polt, he still manages to have a very good ratio against Protoss overall. He's beat Patience recently. Patience, who we saw yesterday, played very impressively. This was actually in Katowice qualifiers, the European one, which he played in from America. And he beat Patience in it, who was playing from Europe. So that's already extremely impressive. These guys' last encounter, Polt won 2-0. Yep. This was back in November at DreamHack Winter. So Polt, definitely extremely impressive, but StarDust, 70% win rate versus Terran. Are you kidding me? How is this even possible?
I don't know. He just keeps going, man. It's funny because, well, whilst we get these map vetoes going, as you can see, Ultraseam Stronghold goes for StarDust, and then Polt gets rid of Polar Knight. Quite interesting vetoes just from the very beginning. I do like Ultraseam Stronghold for Protoss as long as you're able to deal with those triple drops. Did you
read MC's post about the maps?
Yes, I did actually.
MC was basically saying that a lot of maps, they really favor the blink play, like a Yonsu, Heavy Rain. But for him, Ultraseam Stronghold, there's basically the worst map, he was saying, versus Terran right now. So not surprised here. I guess StarDust completely agree with that. And we're going to have Heavy Rain played as first here. So.
Yeah, Polt got rid of Polar Knight and Daedalus Point, which, yes, Daedalus Point also not too bad for Blink play as well. But Polar Knight, it's a little bit harder to make that Blink play fully work on that map. Then we have Yonsu and Frost to round things up in this best of 3. But in terms of how these two participate and play... And
it's like
seemingly friends.
It's like they posed for like a presidential picture for a second. show some goodwill and smile together.
Well, all in all, the thing is that both of these players in the past 10 series that they've played against their respective opponents' race, they've only lost once each time. So both of them are 9-1 in their past 10 series against the opposing race, which is absolutely mind-blowing when you consider the level that these two are playing at right now. Polt is always the big heavy hitter when it comes to WCS and every tournament he goes to. And then we have a guy like StarDust who really had a phenomenal 2013, a proper breakout performance, and is riding that on through into 2014.
To make this short, if somebody was unfortunate enough to just log on and the stream and arrived late, Polt is on fire versus Protoss, and so is StarDust versus Terran. And this is going to mean fireworks and some very high-level play in this first series of the day here.
Exactly. What a game to open up day number 3 here at the Intel Extreme Masters Cologne, as we will get into Heavy Rain as our first map in just a second. Now, it's already been mentioned many a time that it is good for that blink play from Protoss. But all in all, Polt is just a very well-rounded player. He's very defensively minded. He's always going to be looking for that scouting opportunity, keeping very close eye on what his opponent's doing, really reading into how he's moving around and interacting with the map itself. As we are indeed the game, in the lobby, and just now waiting for game number 1 to begin. So I'm looking forward to this one, man. Do you have any like standout predictions here? I think it's really difficult to make predictions in this first series because it could genuinely go either way. But do you have any kind of preference? Do you think that, you know, does your Protoss blood run through you strong, Todd, and maybe you'll go with StarDust, or do you think that Polt might be able to eke it out?
You know what? It's a really hardcore right now. StarDust, I think, is on fire even more so than Polt in the matchup, but the wins from Polt that we've seen recently were more impressive, especially the one against CJ Hero. Think about it.
Yes,
he won 2 tournaments in a row. He didn't lose to anybody except this one guy here on your screen. So that for me was the most impressive thing that Polt has shown in the matchup, and that makes him ultimately the favorite in this matchup here versus StarDust.
And in those 10 previous series that we just spoke about, for Polt being 9-1 currently, the one loss he had was quite a while back to Patience, who knocked him out of that DreamHack tournament after Patience got 3rd there. But then his most recent win for that Katowice qualifier was against Patience. So he kind of irons out everything in the end in terms of his play and who he's going up against. But now, guys, we are loading up into game number 1 of the day, as we load up onto Heavy Rain for our first game. StarDust looks great in the groups in the open bracket. Now let's jump right on into it. Let's see if Captain America can defeat Mr. Glittering StarDust himself. Gonna be a good one. All right, well, spawning up to the top left as our red Protoss. Representing my insanity, it's StarDust. And down to the bottom right, we have our blue Terran. Representing CM Storm, it's Polt.
I think here one interesting thing to note for StarDust is that not only he's been playing really well versus Terran, but in all matchups, he just seems to have improved in general. And this really shows every time he's been playing, he's been crushing through every opponent he's met already, whereas Polt is going to be his first match. And Polt, he knew what group he was going to be in, but he didn't know what his first match was going to be.
Yeah.
And looking at the tournaments, as much as there is a lot of Protosses, and he knew that, for example, in the Korean qualifier, 2 Protosses had made it, he still didn't know who he was going to play. So now there is a question mark on how much did he prepare versus Protoss. Did he think it was the priority number 1 for him? Recently, when WCS America groups were drawn, his manager was interviewed because Polt was unavailable. And he basically said that Polt had been working pretty hard towards basically fixing his problems and finding new things versus Protoss. Right after this, we saw him in action versus CJ's Hero. And again, he was the only player able to beat him in recent time. So Polt here, if he even is playing half as good as he did versus Hero, I think he might even dominate StarDust. And if he plays even better, I just don't see how he's going to be stoppable. Then again, StarDust, he's shown before that he has a lot of tricks up his sleeve. He's a guy who can play almost any build. Going up against StarDust, you never know what to expect. And that's not only True in PvP.
Well, I mean, you're right. In terms of StarDust's play right now, he's playing amazingly across all matchups. But Polt, likewise, for the longest time, he has been so consistent. And not only is he great mechanically, but he's great when it comes to the thought processes that he applies to the game. This guy is really smart. If you don't know about Polt too much, he went to like the best university in Korea and is currently studying over in America. Learned English in the snap of a finger. He is one of the smartest guys playing StarCraft 2 right now, and he executes strategy with careful precision. So
he's Captain America by choice right now. Later on,
yeah.
I'm pretty sure he's gonna be elected for presidency.
He could be president, man. He really could. He's quite the guy. And, well, we're going to see what he's going to bring on Heavy Rain as he jumps in with that first replay to have a look around. Notice his second gas, and we'll try and get a little bit more scouting intel later on. But noticeably, Polt has done a bit of a change-up to what we've normally been seeing Terrans do on this map during the tournament. We saw QXE as well as Jaxi opening up with 4 Reapers on this map, whereas Polt is just opting to go for the little bit of a lighter scout and not really looking to apply too much pressure earlier on.
And I like the way this has gone for him already, because StarDust didn't opt to go for a probe scout. He does not know exactly how Polt opens. And now, because of that Reaper, he has to stay back at home with his Mothership Core. So he's not going to get a scout early on, which is going to make him a little bit paranoid. You know, he's going to have to be careful. But actually, he opens with a very quick Twilight Council. Could we see some more Dark Templars here? They've proved quite deadly yesterday in a lot of the games that we saw them in.
Oh, and instantaneously sees that Twilight Council over to the left-hand side here. So Polt is going to be preparing himself properly. Yeah. We'll probably see a little bit of an earlier engineering bay come down here just to be able to greet Dark Templars if that's going to be the choice. But also he's going to be mindful about, for example, how many gates and things like that actually come along.
The big question for Polt right now is this Blink or is this Dark Templars? And it's going to be a very hard one to answer. He needs to get right back in there later on to try and get a scout. But of course, StarDust is going to try to prevent that. There could be a scan, a surprise scan on that Twilight a little bit later on to see if it's making Blink. But then again, we've seen Protosses making Blink and still going for the Dark Shrine. So it's a tough spot for Polt. He might choose to go for something like a single turret at his expansion just to make sure he doesn't get surprised.
And this pylon at the back of the mineral line here at the natural was prime position for him to throw down that Dark Shrine as he does go for that. So this is going to be interesting as Polt will pressure at the front with these Marines, won't be able to see a whole lot. He probably will end up throwing a scan down if he can't get in there with the Reaper eventually. But the Reaper is going to be looking near that Twilight Council because that's normally where a Dark Shrine would go down, but this is separated.
And Polt is actually playing on 3 barracks with a very slow tech to factory and then into Medivacs. You see, he's adding an engineering bay right now. He wants to be safe against those Blinkstalkers. Before, I really wondered why the Terrans were doing this, but now I understand better. They're really scared of taking too early to Medivacs and then dying to some kind of Blinkstalker attack. So now, sending... What, did he take a look at the Twilight or not?
I think he may have just skipped past it a little bit there. Okay. But the Marines are actually going through this Photon Overcharge. If these Stalkers lead them further back a little bit, then they will end up spotting that. But he decides not to go, just trying to get as many probes as he can do. But the one disadvantage that we're seeing from Polt here is that if he's going for 3 barracks play, and if StarDust identifies that, then StarDust can play very greedy himself. Because there's not really too much of a threat apart from at the front. From Photon Overcharge.
There was a lot of probes at the expansion. Double gas was taken, and the Stalkers were back at home. Polt, he should be able, from what he's seen, to realize basically that this is most likely Dark Templars here.
Yeah.
You don't get a Twilight for not getting either DTs or actually the Dark Templar is going to try to get in there. Oh, he needs to react quicker.
And he's not reacting, so that Dark Templar slips straight on through, and there's no missile turret in the main, so he moved out at a little bit of a unfortunate time there. Has to drop the scan.
Step out of oh, okay, no.
Those 2 Marines.
Man, they came out right on time.
They're like, hey guys, what's up? Oh, Dark Templar, sick.
And you know what? Those Dark Templars not having done any damage here. StarDust has still a very good saturation, but Polt has quite a few units out already on the map. He's a little bit behind on Walkers, but army supply 25 to 10, and he's taking quite rapidly to Medivacs behind this. Upon seeing that he was safe, he made the factory, and now he's getting the starport, adding on double barracks before going for a 3rd command center. So I think Polt's going to want to pressure quite heavily here.
And he will actually pressure on forwards, at least to get the Photon Overcharge, as well as a few units as he does continue on. He could actually walk up into the main. Oh, up until that actually goes down. He threw a force field there as well. That will deny it, and they have to stay in range of this Photon Overcharge. Those 2 Dark Templars will eventually clean this up, but that was a lot lost.
Man, Polt is not in passive mode at all here.
No.
He wants to apply quite heavy pressure, and he killed a whole bunch of probes already with 9 in total. StarDust deciding on a lot of gateways now. I was going to say I wouldn't be surprised if he takes into Storm, and there it is. The Templar Archive goes down. So StarDust definitely going to be taking to Storm. The thing is, he doesn't have a Robo, and I'm pretty sure he's going to skip it for a long time now, because he already took some damage. And when a Terran is this aggressive, he's not going to slow down anytime soon. So what StarDust does is that he goes for a very, very quick third. And this is, I guess he killed a whole bunch of units, so maybe he feels safe. He's like, you know what? I'm going to get charged, I'm going to get some Archons, I'm going to get Storm, and I'm going to be safe against any amount of Bioforces thrown at me. But Polt, remember what he did versus Hero. He attacked on many, many fronts. He was dropping everywhere. He was really spreading his opponent thin. He was making sure that he doesn't give any peace to the Protoss. And now, I think that's what he's going to go for again.
And also for StarDust, if this was going up against a 3rd CC after 3 barracks, it would have been a little bit more safe. But now with that 5 barracks before 3rd CC, this can still pack a big, big punch here. As Polt moves on towards the 3rd, sees it's down. There's really not that many gateway units or any units here for StarDust right now.
I think this has to be a cancel.
Yeah.
To be honest, because
of how the barracks have lined up with all of this.
And also,
difficult.
StarDust, because of this quick third and the way StarDust opened and fell behind, he has too few gateways right now. He just added 3, but you know, they're not even lining up very well. Like one of them finished earlier than the other. So he was on 4 gateways, essentially. And he needs to wait until he has Storm to take a third, and that's going to be Polt's cue to take his own third and try and delay StarDust the third even more. And look, this is so smart. He realized that there is probably no Robo. He's getting a Widowmine now. This is great. If he gets a Widowmine burrowed on each potential third, this is going to be really, really good for him. He can delay that even more, but actually he has to lift up here.
Yeah, it gets pushed away. StarDust isn't taking any risks in terms of trying to claim that 3rd base once again, but also he's getting a Warp Prism, but he's certainly going to have to deal with this drop over to his natural that could do a little bit of damage. Nice feedbacks will deny any longevity from this army, and he's going to have to pick up and get out of there.
This is a very good map for Blink, but you know what else is very good on this map? Drops. If you go to the 3rd base, the entire army of the Protoss is there and he doesn't have Blink, you pick everything up into those Medivacs and you boost them and you drop into the main, and the Protoss is going to take forever to get back there and defend. And now, Polt, having killed the Mothership Core, StarDust has to remake that now. He's not going to have a photon overcharge for a very, very long time. I
mean, you were saying the drops are very good on this map, and it's like, especially so if you're not playing with Robo and Blink. If you don't have Colossi, if you don't have Blink Stalkers, which are components right now that we don't see from StarDust. So would he be better claiming his 3rd down to the south as opposed to that one next to the main?
It's quite far too, you know? It's as a Terran, if you scan well, you send Marines everywhere and you always know where the Protoss army is. There is always going to be a hole that you can abuse.
Yeah, it's stretched out quite a way.
There's always going to be weakness in the defense of the Protoss. He's going to have too few units somewhere. You can boost, you can steam, you're going to be faster. So that's the tricky part for the Protoss now to try and come back in this game. And Polt, man, he's taking off supply-wise, and he's getting what I said yesterday was very important. He's getting the quick Ghost Academy, the quicker Ghost Academy than we usually see.
Nice storm drop.
Yeah, this is going to do a bit of damage here. Polt definitely needs a few more turrets to make sure that does not keep on happening.
Warps in and main with those Zealots. Not only are they going to try and go for see the progress at which his opponent is adding on production facilities, so he does have a good gauge on exactly where he is in this game right now. He's doing a bit of damage in the 3rd as well as in the natural, in the main. So this is a really good harassment here from StarDust. He's killed off 18, 20 workers so far.
But actually, upgrade-wise, we have StarDust on 2 armor upgrades, only +1 right now for Polt, who's about who's going to get +1 armor in a second. And the Ghost Academy was interrupted. It's not building anymore. Polt does not realize. He needs Ghost as soon as possible. He's up against Templars.
StarDust here, though, is having to move up for the engage. Oh, dear me, Polt, run away! Oh, that was big damage.
This is what we saw yesterday. We saw yesterday from Patience. He's dropping everywhere.
Yeah.
And then as soon as he knows that the Terran's not looking at his main army, he gets in there and he basically storms the entire army.
Totally fantastic storm play.
Yeah. This is a crazy transition here from StarDust, by the way. Usually you go into Colossus and then later on you get Blink, but he realized that, you know what? I've done well just now. I don't want to die to drops. I want to be able to defend when taking a third. This is what you just mentioned before too. He wants to take that third right in front of his base. He's going to need Blink. That's really going to help with that, so he gets Blink before taking to Colossus. As good as he's going to be in defending against Medivacs, it's not going to help against a big Bioforce plus Ghosts. So he's still going to have to take to Colossus after that.
I've got to say, I mean, despite Polt having delayed that third for so long, StarDust has done a fantastic job of harassing over the other side and evening up those economies very nicely. This could have swung out of control if StarDust hadn't have used those harassment techniques, but now he's keeping himself in it.
Yeah.
This is a really cool game, number 1.
Actually, he just sniped the factory. We have a single starport on the map. Imagine if he goes into double Robo Colossus now. He's going to be in a great shape because one single starport, it's gonna take a very long time to get enough Vikings, and then you take a fight, you possibly lose those Vikings. And look, the robo base starts. If he gets another one, man, this is gonna be good for StarDust here. Right now he's gonna stay on one. I think he's probably worried of some kind of attack right now. He knows he's done some damage, but still he's gonna move across the map. He has his Templars, he knows he's very good at controlling them, and he sends Zealots on the other side of the map.
Yeah, this is nice, especially since he knows where his opponent's army is now on this left-hand side. They're gonna die. They didn't have Blink, so they couldn't get away.
It's a big Zealot run by in the natural of Polt now. This is gonna be caught, but actually, they were not an attack move.
Yeah, he got a glimpse of it during that slight walk into that...
Oh, there's a drop!
Ooh, yeah.
At the top. One of those Medivacs got feedbacked.
To move away. The observers are in good positions here, though, as well, for him to keep an eye on these drops.
What he's gonna do a two-pronged attack. He has units on the right-hand side, units on the left-hand side, but there is observers everywhere.
Yeah,
StarDust sees everything.
He's got to be very, very careful about storms, especially if one of them hits for the high ground. Nice move there by StarDust. He has to open a few more units to deal with this on the right-hand side during that push coming from the bottom as well. So this is a very, very wide open area. Preemptive storms pushing this away. Should buy him a little bit of time, but the Sentry's also going for the trade. The Zealots march on forwards. There's High Templars. Oh, catches one or two storms, but still pretty good control here from Polt.
Huge storms, and
run away.
StarDust, he definitely studied Polt's game versus Hero here. Look at how many observers. Look. We should take a look at StarDust's vision for a second. He sees basically his entire side of the map. There is no way you can surprise this guy. Where he doesn't have observers, he has pylons or units. There is no way you can surprise him. And if you can surprise him, well, he will reach his ultimate composition of Colossus and Storm, with which he's so comfortable with.
Yeah, it's like if a medevac gets over there without being spotted by an observer, they're getting pretty lucky, like winding around all the observers. But that's not going to happen. He sees these three medevacs heading up to the top right-hand corner, so he should be able to intercept those and deal with them accordingly.
And he has Blink now. This could be a disaster for Polt. Oh, he's actually going to drop.
That Marine... Oh, okay,
It's Captain America, man. You can surprise him.
Apparently not.
He has the NSA working for him.
Tries to blink forwards. He has all the information. It's spying on StarDust wherever he can. As Polt now moves over to the left-hand side with a good chunk of his army as well. This is going to be... StarDust still sees it, man. Another observer sees every single movement.
And Polt, I really like the way he's playing this. He keeps on going around. He keeps on trying to do multi-pronged attacks on the left-hand side, on the right-hand side. The problem is he's not sniping these observers. So ultimately, StarDust always knows which way the attack's coming, and he always spreads out his army perfectly to make sure he can defend. I think if Polt starts sniping observers and really does some kind of good attack on one side or the other, he might be able to do enough damage to get some kind of a lead. Right now, even though he's ahead on supply, I would say that StarDust is getting awfully close to his ideal army composition that you want to have in the matchup.
Yeah, and not sniping out those observers earlier on in this game has unhindered anything straight up to the Robo. So, I mean, he can continue to produce Colossi completely happily without having to replenish any observers. There's a Warp Prism down to the left-hand side as well here. StarDust is playing out this game really well, but Polt is not done yet. He has two big clumps of units here, trying to strike on left and right. He could actually storm that really nicely, but he's not paying attention. Oh, and he will actually catch quite a bit of it. They do micro out of it in the end, but they can't sit around forever. That's a lot of Zealots.
Yeah. 3-2 upgrades for StarDust here. We have 3-3 on the way for Polt, but he's quite far away from finishing. He's getting a few additional command centers. This one's probably going to get cancelled. Nice Viking placement.
Yeah, very nice.
This is actually going to prevent quite some damage. Possibly no. The Warp Prism flies away, and the Viking is not helping with this.
Certainly shouldn't have let that go. That's going to cause a bit of a headache in the main, and we even have Zealots over at the fourth base of Polt as well, or, well, fourth or fifth, whichever one you want to call. Yeah, they're all being harassed, guys. I mean, that's the end of that story. It does get cleaned up to this top right, though.
And StarDust sees this as a window for a possibility of an attack, and actually it does not even bring his Stalkers, but it doesn't matter because there is not many Vikings nearby here. There is only 3 Vikings out on the map right now, and we are starting to have quite a few Colossi. There is 2 out right now, a third one is on the way. StarDust has done this so well here, and actually maybe he should know when to hit the slowdown pedal here, because he keeps on sending in units forward, and those are going to be sniped for free on the right-hand side.
I have to ask here that with the setup that we're seeing from Polt across these 3 base moving on to 4 base, I'm kind of surprised there's no second starport to transition into Vikings quicker, right? Oh, he does have it now. Okay, so it just started producing properly. But that's really important because that Colossus count can rise fast.
And that took some time. Remember, he had to remake the factory. That's why he has... Oh my god.
Oh, big storms in the middle. High Templar getting a lot of damage done. Very cost effective. And to be honest with you, there's, well, the medevacs are all out of place, so he really needs to heal those up.
And this is why Terrans, we see a lot of Terrans like 4GD not taking to Ghost and trying to end the game before, because this is so hard in the last game to deal with this. Oh, there we have Templars on the left-hand side trying to storm even more. They didn't get too many units, but they got a few. They did get killed after. StarDust actually, if he does this too much and loses too many of his Templars, he's going to be in a very difficult position. Right now he has 5 Templars left. They are between his natural and third base. And they are the very important part of his army that he needs to keep alive and manage very, very well.
Zealots, unfortunately, going to end up sacrificing themselves on this planetary fortress, but actually still doing a good job here. They do have +3 armor, so they're tanking up quite a lot of this during it. Killing off the bio, also killing off some of the SCVs here. 44 workers have gone down, and on the left-hand side, he has to be careful. There's 2 High Templars up to the north. He sees it with the scan. Will he react in time? He doesn't, though. Oh, those storms are going to tear apart the army whilst the Zealots march on forwards, but at the same time, the Vikings bring down the Colossi. That really does a lot to StarDust's army, and Polt will march on forwards and do pretty well for himself there.
StarDust was missing a lot of his army here. Even though he hit some great storms on this army, he still lost the fight. And while he left some of his Templars behind, he just sent a few of them to help defend here. And remember, he just suicided a whole bunch of Zealots, which he thought were expendable on the right-hand side. And I do think that they were expendable. He just took the fight too quickly here because he thought he had a good shot of storming. And oh, nice EMPs!
Very, very nicely done. Those Zealots coming in from either side now to try and push this away.
There's no observer.
He can't see any of those ghosts. One of them's visible now as it ran out of energy, but that's about it. He drops more scans. He wants to make sure that there's no observers there so that those ghosts go completely unhindered. He's trying to bring an observer back whilst these Zealots chase on forwards, but that was a lot of free damage there for Polt.
This is such a crazy game, man.
It's
so
really
much has happened, and StarDust's economy is completely crushed here. He has 58 probes against 47 SCVs, but they're only mining from one real base, the one on the left-hand side. Oh, and those ghosts are actually going to be caught here.
Oh, if he only had like a medevac or something to try and evacuate out of that location, but he doesn't in the end. He still doesn't have the vision there, so those 2 ghosts have some energy.
Army supply right now, 86 for Polt, 52 for StarDust, but the income, really the story of that game right now. StarDust, though, he just secured himself a base on the top right-hand side. If this does not get sniped soon, he has a real chance at recovering, and I think that's what Polt's going for right now. He's actually queued right above this. I wonder if he knows this might be there. And StarDust moving in a position to try and defend it. Keep in mind, StarDust, he doesn't have any Colossus left. Not a single one. So he's... Actually, he has a single one that just came out of the Robo, but he's out of position and he forgot about it.
And whilst he's dropping up to the north here and trying to do some damage, there is a Dark Templar also in his main as well. Feedbacks on a lot of those medevacs will catch them as well as the storm to push this away. Those medevacs are so low, they have to be so careful.
This has been defended, and I guess not even, because actually this is going to be dropped in the main. I'm surprised that Polt's not attacking with the left-hand side with the rest of his army here. He probably thought there was a Nexus being remade here, so he came there, but if he had known, he would definitely have gone to the left-hand side, where we have a bunch of Cannons and Templars, actually, so would have been tricky to attack into this. A Dark Templar will be warped in. Colossus, well, extinct species now.
Yeah, poor little guy, he got ran over. There's a Raven on the way as well for Polt because he realizes that these Dark Templars have been so annoying. He gets that Templar Archives. Oh, but the Storm tries to catch this army. If he gets the DT Shrine as well, he can't even make Archons at this point. And there is one morphing in, as there are a few High Templars left over during all of this that got a few Storms down, but this is so close. Look at the supply counts. Both players absolutely fighting tooth and nail here in the first game.
Yeah, both players actually with 2 expansions fully mining. Actually, Polt has not mined out his third base yet. I'm surprised he hasn't PF'd his bottom left-hand side base yet. Should be doing it in a second. And Polt is going to continue with this aggression on the left-hand side, dropping in the natural. If he gets both of these Robo, he cannot lose to Colossus anymore. All he has to do is get Mass Ghost and win the ground fight.
That would be devastating for StarDust, who right now does have, you know, that little income going because of the left-hand side base as well as the top right, but he still has to be careful. He's currently down in terms of army supply and doesn't really have a huge amount of AoE. He has 2 High Templars, but that's it, aside from the Archons that need to close the gap anyway.
StarDust still has 5 observers. Most of them are in the middle of the map to see any kind of attacks coming, but he needs 1 or 2 with his army. Remember what happened earlier? This is kind of ridiculous to have 4 observers and all of them being out of position when the fight takes place. So he's going to bring them next to his army, and he's looking to do damage now because he knows he's falling behind in terms of army composition. He wants to do some damage. Another drop in the main. The Twilight Council was killed, by the way, earlier. He has to remake it. This this is getting really bad right now for StarDust. He has to do a lot of damage here if he wants to be able to win.
Yeah.
Even though he's ahead on supply, his army composition is not nearly as good as where you want it to be at this point in the game.
I mean, getting rid of the Templar Archives for Polt before was fantastic, but then the Twilight Council as well, it adds so much time that you have to use to get back up to your AoE damage that right now is so important. Polt technically has to micro so aggressively against this army because it's almost at it's 3-3-2 upgrades on those Zealots at the moment, which it's really so hard to kill them.
And as I said, Polt right now, all he needs is a lot of Ghost. He was making Vikings quite heavily until now. He's gone up to 9 against 0 Colossus, so they're not going to do much in the fight. He can land them, but this is not the ideal army that he needs. And behind this, Colossus production has resumed. Templar Archives is being remade for StarDust, who's trying to stabilize again. Oh, that Templar on the left-hand side, goodbye.
Oh, poor little guy, full energy, he goes down. But again, Polt continues to always press up left and right, never taking a straight engagement through the middle, always trying to draw his opponent.
This is so smart. If you put your entire army together, you basically put all your eggs in the same basket, you go for a big fight, and if you get stormed, you lose.
Yeah, you invite those storms.
Yeah, now Polt is forcing StarDust to spread out all the time. And to be honest, StarDust has dealt very well with this so far. He's left 1 Templar on the left-hand side as well as 5 cannons. He can warp in some units there as well. Remember, he does not have a Dark Shrine anymore, by the way.
Oh, that High Templar doesn't have energy for Storm just yet as it moves on forwards, but it will have to run away for just a second. Even drops the feedback because he didn't have energy for Storm. The Nexus gets sniped out here by Polt. A great move. Will limit a lot of the income here for StarDust as he gets all the upgrades on the way.
This is big. This is what he needed.
Yeah.
This is going to give him a big lead, even though he's still behind on walkers.
Look at the income.
Yeah.
It's fantastic now for Polt. Really, really good.
But StarDust retaking that base on the top side here. His initial 3rd base, whereas Polt, he's got a 4th and a 5th. Both with a planetary fortress, both with a turret. And I like his position. I really like it now. He's maxed out. He's going to get quite a bang behind this. He's getting his upgrades. Actually, level 3 ship weapons for those Vikings. This is great.
I also love what we're seeing from Polt in terms of not only the aggression...
Oh, the last DT.
Oh, poor guy. Not only the aggression on the left and right is really cool from Polt, but also the sensor tower in the middle. I mean, he's already defending the left and right anyway because his armies are on both sides. So throwing the sensor tower down in the middle covers all the options that StarDust has available to him for the aggression.
And we're going to have a big fight here. Is there any observer with this? I don't see a single one.
Oh, I think he...
Oh, they're a little bit behind.
Yeah.
They're catching up right now.
And he's going to charge on forwards. A few EMPs did hit this army, so Polt has to be very careful. He's actually backing himself into the corner. He has to pick up a lot of this. A few of these units are going to get sacrificed, and now he isolates himself. But he's actually pressing on the left-hand side as well, constricting StarDust's income where he can because he can't take that base. But now StarDust, it looks like he's had enough. He's moving down to the 5th.
Yeah, you know what? He has the critical mass that he needs to take on this army. He managed to squeeze out 2 Colossus, which are quite scary. And he has a critical mass of Zealots as well.
But there's no anti-air to deal with those Vikings, so those Colossi are guaranteed to die off unless he dropped a Storm right on top of them. But the Planetary Fortress is trying to hold. He drops the Storm on the SCVs. That will end up dying off. But meanwhile, we have a drop on the left-hand side. Up to the top right also, Polt pressuring on as best he can do. StarDust is losing these battles up to the top left. He killed the base down off to the bottom right, but it's still so even.
Oh my god, he needs to snipe the Nexus. There is another Dark Templar.
If he gets that base, though, there's not a whole lot of mining left for StarDust at all. I mean, he has that base in the middle, but this is going to fall, and then he can pick up and go into the main if he wants. Go, go, go!
Yeah, but there's nothing important to be killed in the main. There's actually a few Stalkers already in position here for StarDust. This right-hand side base was a big loss, but Polt's going to retake it. And it's down to 33 SCVs. StarDust, he's gained the lead again here. This is really back and forth. Oh, that DT needs to be noticed very quickly here. Yeah. All right, it's going to be...
Drops scan, kills that off.
And again, StarDust attack the right-hand side. The Planetary Fortress not ready. And Polt is not ready. He has his army super spread out. He actually only has 2 medivacs with this part of his army here.
He has to lift up and run away. There's no way. And he's going to get as many pylons as he can in the main to unpower some of these gateways. Anything that Polt can get in the main is all right, but he did sacrifice quite a bit of that army to those units whilst trying to get those pylons. So still, now the income, very, very even. Long-distance mining. What is happening, Todd?
What is this game? This is
fantastic.
Some insane PvT. 51 probes, 35 SCVs. Polt's going to try to retake that right-hand side base. StarDust does not want to let that happen because he just fell behind it. He will fall quite far behind on economy if this happens. And this composition, this time, not kidding, I just checked the unit type. He does not have a single Colossus. So again, if the EMPs are good, Polt will do well, but how many ghosts are there? 0? He doesn't have a single ghost.
He has to be careful.
Because he's short on economy, because he lost that right-hand side base, he thought he couldn't afford a single ghost, so he didn't make any.
But at the same time, there's only one High Templar. Only one here to land those storms.
These Zealots and Archons, they also justify quite a few EMPs.
Yeah, they do. Did he get +3 armor in the end? Or no? Did he not research it?
You mean shield?
Yeah, sorry, the shields. No, he didn't get it. Okay, so, but still, 3-3-2 is still a fantastic spot to be in for StarDust in terms of those upgrades. There are Dark Templars trying to shy on down to this bottom left-hand corner, grab themselves 2 Marauders in unison, and then from there, well, there's a missile
they're going
turret.
for the turret, those DTs.
I don't think they can kill it, right?
Oh, and Polt does not look.
Oh, he can, because they were spread out. He wouldn't have...
Oh, it was still detecting.
What the... All right, then. Planetary Fortress, whatever. He gives no funks.
2 ghosts were made by Polt. He's gonna need more than that, I think, but he's ahead on supply. He's gonna try to get a snipe on those Templars. Almost gets one, does not get it in the end. It's so hard to for StarDust to attack on this right-hand side right now, because all of his units will be clumped up. One good option would be to take out the rocks, but hold on. We have Polt pressuring that base. Might go for the Nexus after this, but he might get caught too. There is a lot of Stalkers that could blink and snipe those Medivacs and those units.
Lifts up, goes straight on into the main. Anything you can get here is fantastic for him. It's so underpowered right now. He can hardly warp in anything here, can StarDust.
These Medivacs jumping from base to base. This has to be so frustrating for StarDust, man. He has to be thinking, God damn it, maybe I should make some Phoenixes or Tempests to stop this from happening. Look at the Stalkers. You just cannot reach them. Just blinking those Pumpkin and Forest here. If they could. And Polt is using this as an opportunity to get in a position. He's gonna maybe get a snipe on those Templars. No. Meets the Zealots first, and that's some angry Zealots.
Micro's on back as Polt just dancing where he can. Again, this army just doesn't have AoE damage, so if he keeps microing back, keeps going for those trades, Polt is still in a phenomenal position here. He's up in terms of army supply.
Templars.
Oh, very nice storms in the end.
And I'm sorry for saying, oh my god, so much every time there is storms, but oh my god, this hurts.
It's just a crazy game, constantly back and forth, but Polt has taken a significant lead now.
This is weird. If you look at the army supply, 148 to 91, Polt shouldn't be scared, but there's just so many Templars that every time Polt goes for an attack, he can just get stormed. And now this might be what he needs. The big attack in the main is gonna go for the reinforcements. This is very, very smart. He has a lot of Medivacs healing. The Stalkers are gonna blink up the run, but they're not enough. They're gonna get killed too.
They all go down.
And on the right-hand side, Polt follows up with the big attack.
It's just all over. Polt is across this map, left and right, back and forth. These Zealots are going to have a really, really hard time dealing with this against the kiting, but at the same time, Polt doesn't want to lose anything to any storms whatsoever. He knows he's in an advantageous position. He's building up a good ghost count behind this as well.
Yeah.
What a game. He drops the scan and sees that base is still not up and running. He can walk over there, kill that off, deny it. This is fantastic from Polt. Fantastic.
Polt has actually mined out most of his side of the map. He's gonna start to have to invest into some middle bases because his SCV count is so low. His army supply 163 right now. He's gonna have to start using his ghost, which he had left behind up until now. He was not committing to any fight. Now this is the time for him to go for a fight. Those ghosts, look at how much energy they have. He's been basically saving them for a long time for basically the conclusion of this game, if he can. And with this army supply, it's gonna be pretty hard for StarDust to win, especially without any Colossi. 159 army supply against 81. How is this even close here? You can just move across the map and end it. But then again, every time we had Templars hit some huge storms. How many Templars are left actually? 7 in total right now.
I mean, that's one of the things about Heavy Rain that kind of, helps out Protoss a little bit. There are so many choke points that, maybe Polt's a little bit scared of bringing all of his army together and then having it get stormed. But since there are those 7 high Templars, but if he just keeps doing this, if he just keeps hitting on the left, on the right, denying the
There's gonna be too much.
Yeah, it's just slowly but surely constricting StarDust. And he's going to have to tap out very, very soon. This base is going to end up falling. Storms are available, but he kills the High Templars before they even get opportunity on the right-hand side as well. He's laying waste to this remaining base. There's so much minerals in the bank here for StarDust, but he just can't use it. The majority of the gateways are underpowered. He has no ability to really warp in, maybe a few gateways, but aside from that, you can't compete with the production here of Polt. It's impossible as he presses onto the third base. And anyway, drops the scan, drops the snipes. This is going to be difficult for StarDust to hold on further. Polt has played an amazing game. 159 army supply against 61. StarDust has played great as well. He's looking for a way back into it, but staring down the barrel of this army. There's no way, no chance that he has of coming back in now. The remaining Stalkers die off at the front. He has a very, very little mining left. He's going to try and hold on with these High Templars, but I don't think that's going to work.
Storms are good, but there are limits. Just like Photon Overcharge.
There certainly are limits. Even EMPs on this Archon, that will disintegrate a little bit slowly after these Zealots end up dying off. And StarDust now, there you go, GG for game number 1. What a game. Polt breathing a sigh of relief.
Man, we talked a lot about statistics and how good both of these players are in the matchup right now. This actually lived even more to the expectations than I thought it would. This was some crazy PvT action we just saw. Attacks everywhere, multitask, insane micro from both players, positioning, everything. And Polt, he might be the best Terran versus Protoss in the world right now. I have to say it. Remember his games versus Zero? You just saw that game just now. I know it's only game 1, and a lot can still happen, but this was just ridiculous. Attacking on both sides the entire game, and he was getting spotted too. So even though you can always nitpick, you can find some mistakes here and there, you can say, oh, he could have scanned and killed the observers. I don't care. Shut up. This guy is insane.
That's right,
now.
You're right. That was so impressive. So impressive. What a game to open up day number 3 here for the Intel Extreme Masters, as StarDust's probably in disbelief.
Yeah, after a game like this, I would be like, what do I gotta do to beat this guy?
Exactly. I mean,
I better cheese.
he sent Zealots, he sent Dark Templars, he sent Storm Drops, he sent everything to kill off the economy line of Polt. But even that was not enough, as Polt just decided, I am going to hit you on the left and the right constantly and make it very difficult for you to do anything. I don't know what he could have done better.
Well, we're going to see what he thinks he can do better in the next game, but I don't see it myself. He defended very well for the majority of the game. When StarDust started falling behind, he had a nice counter-attack on the right-hand side. He sniped the base, and for a moment, it looked like he was actually in a good position. This was so back and forth right from the start. Polt was ahead, then StarDust starts doing some nice drops. He snipes a lot of SCVs. He has Zealots running everywhere. It looks good for him. But then every time, Polt's able to return the situation up until the time he got 169 army supply with a bunch of ghosts. Against which, if you don't have like a trillion Colossus, Templars, Tempest, and all that, you're not going to be able to win a lot of the time. And in this game, actually, look at Funka in the chat. He's like, great game, oh my god. Our Terran resident here.
Yeah. I saw him laddering this morning, and he's probably just in awe right now.
Yeah, he's probably like, I want to try this later, but I can't do this. So
nobody can try that, man. It's only Polt. It's Captain America, man.
You know what? And I feel like Polt, like for me at least, he's more of a very good build order kind of guy with good execution. Like for me, he never had as good multitask as somebody like Alive, for example. You know, MMA and stuff like that. Like he was always good at dropping and stuff like that. But in this game, he's attacking everywhere. He's paying attention to his army a lot. He got hit by some very good storms, but that's only because StarDust, he had some so nicely placed observers. And man, let's get the game started, because I want to see what happens.
Game number 2. This is going to be fantastic, as we already had an absolute blinder from game number 1. Let's jump right on into Yonsu to find out how this concludes. If Polt can take it 2-0, we'll see. So spawning down to the bottom left-hand corner, we have our red Protoss representing my insanity. It's StarDust. And up to the top right, we have our blue Terran representing CM Storm. Oh my god, it's Polt.
You know, StarCraft is a game where build orders are very important, and in that last game, it really felt like they were not all that important. Like, gaining a lead is nice, but if you allow somebody like Polt to stabilize in the game, or you basically allow him to do any moves like drops or multi-pronged attacks, it seems like he can recover from any situation, and you're going to be in trouble anyway. So right now, I don't even care that much about Polt's opener. I just want to see if he's able to stay alive, stay in a decent or good position early on in this game, and then from there, I know what's going to happen. He's just going to want to look to do the same thing, and he's going to do great.
And I think
because he's so good.
I think there's a great opportunity to do that as well on a map like Yonsu, where if you do end up going up 3 bases, especially if you get up to 4 bases as the Protoss, Polt's going to be everywhere. Polt is going to swarm you.
Yes.
He could be a Zerg player, man. He's going to be all over the place.
You know, I'm not saying that build orders are unimportant, but in that last game, it just felt like Polt was countering everything that StarDust was doing correctly every single time. He was the one applying the pressure, but he reacted right to a lot of the storms. He dropped very well. He harassed every time he had to get out with his medivacs, he did. And it was just so hard for StarDust to deal with. I would say, though, that Paul did have the better opener in the previous game. He fell behind later on, but it was very, very smart the way he played it, actually. Like, we see Terrans do this now. When they suspect Blink, they stay on 3 barracks for a long time and they get a lot of units out. So we could be seeing some kind of similar opener here as Polt actually opened the exact same way in StarDust 2 so far.
I also kind of like what Polt did at the beginning of that game as well in terms of the 3 barracks play. Because normally if you see 3 barracks play and then a photon overcharge goes down on the Nexus, you see Terrans shy away. It's like, photon overcharge is there. I'm just going to run away and sit away. But
he's not shy.
Yeah, he traded units off for damage, and it did really, really well for him. He sat in those photon overcharges, took the damage. He had more units anyway because of the heightened production. So why not try and trade off a little bit instead of not doing anything and allow StarDust to get a tech lead and get the income lead, etc. You gotta be proactive about these things in Polt's shoes.
Maybe moving to America has made him like the most outgoing guy ever.
Total freedom fighter?
No, but like Americans, they are known to be like super social persons. You know, if they go to a party, they would talk to people a lot. Look at QXC. QXC comes here on the first day. He doesn't have any games. He just walks around and he looks at people and he's like, "Sup?" And then he just starts discussions from there.
He like does it with open arms and then walks backwards like, "Sup?" That's what QXC does, man. He's pretty baller. He really is. Well, we have 3 barracks once again here from Polt.
Yeah, the exact same opener, basically.
Yeah.
Which, as much, I kind of regret saying that thing that I said about build orders. But to some extent, it's true. But Polt is someone who's very meticulous with his build orders.
Yeah.
That's very, very important. And right now, it feels like his build order here is the one he's the most comfortable with. And considering how his games go, I guess this is a pretty good one that you should, if you're a Terran, you should definitely consider trying out and studying a lot. And we have the Twilight Council early on again by StarDust here. Does he go for some Blink play this time? And I actually wonder, because Blink play is the thing that has been very, very strong versus Terrans that a lot of Terrans complain about. The Mothership Core vision has not been nerfed yet. The Blink either. So if you went for something like that, I want to see how well it goes against the 3 barracks play of his opponents.
Yeah, and it's just very good on Yonsu in general if he goes for Blink, and he is doing right now. So, I mean, the great thing about the Mothership Core when it actually pokes in there with that 14 vision range, it's not only that it sees far into the base to see the structures, it's the fact that it sees where the Marines are placed before, so he can enter the base at such a good angle. And that's exactly what we saw there from StarDust. That is exactly what he was keeping an eye on. And right now, how well is Polt going to deal with a Blink play? This is going to be interesting to watch.
He needs to figure it out that it is Blink. In the previous game, we saw him. Yeah, but he saw the Twilight. But just like in the previous game, he doesn't know if it's Blink or DTs. And I've been in this situation many times. It's a huge dilemma. Like, you need to basically decide, is this or that? So sometimes, if you don't have the information, you need to invest towards defending better, a little more against one than the other. So it's a tricky situation. He could go for a scan, but I think what he's going to do here is just do the same thing as in the previous game. Instead of scanning, he gets an eBay to be able to get turrets later, and he moves forward. He gets the watchtower first. He sees that there is no pylon, there is no stalker nearby. 722, a Blink stalker attack on 2 bases. You will already be getting in position as a Protoss at this time. You will be proxying pylons and all that. So now, by applying pressure, he's going to get information, and he might catch his opponent off guard, just like in the previous game, and trade very well.
There is a slight delay on this, though, from StarDust. I mean, he sent a probe sneakily up to the left-hand side. So very, very tricky indeed, as Polt now hasn't identified that, and he walked past that watchtower that he controlled previously, so a little bit unlucky here from Polt as he moves towards the base. Photon overcharge isn't here. This is actually something that StarDust did not anticipate, and he's going to take quite a bit of damage from this. The Mothership Core is nowhere to be seen. It's all the way back. And he's losing so many probes. He actually just lost 15 probes, Todd. That's a big deal.
He got completely caught off guard here. And this is a weird version of the Blink play, actually. The Blink is not finished. 7 seconds from finishing, and more Stalkers died here.
He just got totally blindsided.
Oh my God.
Totally blindsided. I mean, the Stalkers are going to hold their own against these Marines alone, and technically Polt lost quite a bit of army, but because he crippled so much of that income and just saw all of those extra gateways, why would you have that as well as all those Stalkers?
Yeah.
Polt back home is going to be preparing very, very well.
Yeah, he made a bunker already. He's going to add extra barracks now. He's in a great position. 42 SCVs against 34 probes, quite ideal. I'm surprised StarDust went for this build, because this is very different than a standard 5-gates blink, you know? He took the gases on his expansion, he made 1 billion probes, and he was basically going to do some kind of pressure with 5 gates. I think it's much better to commit in this situation if you're going to go for blink. Do a 5 gates with minimal probes on your natural, maybe take only one of the gases and get a very high Stalker count. Use the time warps well and deal with whatever your opponent has. But in this case, he took so much damage that Polt from here, if he plays really solid, I don't see StarDust staying in this game for a long time, and he knows that, so he gets the Templar Archives, and he's gonna wanna look to take to Storm ASAP.
Yeah, absolutely has to transition. He's just like flexing his muscles at the front, making it look like he was gonna follow that up with those Stalkers, but realistically, that's not an option here for StarDust after everything that Polt's seen and after how he's prepared. So it's gonna be the transition for StarDust.
Yeah.
It's gonna be difficult. As the 3rd command center is just started now for Polt, and he has that heightened production that we would see usually off those 5 barracks about to kick in.
Yes, you know, I think StarDust, he realizes right now how much trouble he's in, so he's cut pro production, he's getting additional gateways, and he starts Storm as soon as possible, just after getting his first 2 Templars. So that's a very good thing to do, because as soon as Storm finishes, those should have enough energy to basically get a Storm used, and Blink is finished, but he doesn't have many Stalkers. How many? He got 5 Stalkers. I don't think he has charge. He's getting Storm, he's getting +2 armor. This looks so bad for StarDust right now. Then again, we've seen Terrans taking a little bit too much of their time before attacking, and Storm completing a lot of the time, and it looks like it's going to be one of these cases here, because, look, Polt is not... I don't think he realized that... He did not anticipate that there would be such a quick Storm, or he would be attacking right now, because look, 62 army supply against 44. 4 ton of a charge wouldn't help that much against Medivacs really helping to heal. So if Storm completes here, there is really a very real possibility. I've seen StarDust come back in worse games than this, when he was in worse position, just by using Storm really good. Oh, these Stalkers, they're going... Okay.
Yeah, they don't want to get caught. He needs every unit he can get when it comes to this defense. The 7 more Zealots actually being... Did he get charge?
No. He basically had to invest all his gas into the Templars and Storm. And Combat Shield was not made yet. One Storm could butcher those... Oh, he's going to go for the sandwich.
Oh, this could actually be really bad. He drops a scan at the natural and actually just pushes straight on in. Actually, this could... He could get that Nexus.
Oh, he's going to get it.
Oh dear me. If he gets that Nexus, there's so much income that's lost there. And now gets straight on out. Perfect time there by Polt. He does drop a Storm on this army in the main, so will defend there. But now he has lost so much income. StarDust has to make something happen right here, right now, or he is going to die.
Yeah, behind this, Polt just completed +1 attacks. Combat Shield's about to finish. He starts armor immediately. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw +2 starting quickly, because he already got an armory in the 2nd eBay. Ghost Academy should really follow this up very soon, and StarDust, he knows he's very far behind. He's gonna start another expansion. Even though he doesn't have that many probes, he has 51 right now. He knows he's very far behind. He's gonna have to play basically only defense from now, which, if you're Polt, you're pretty happy, because you love applying pressure. And I think this is... Man, this is going to be so hard to recover from. He's getting a Dark Shrine, so he's getting pretty desperate, I think. The thing is, there is already a turret at the expansion of Polt, and Polt is too careful to die to something like this. You see, he's adding extra barracks now. He's just ready for everything. As soon as he starts getting the Ghost, I think he could just probably end it. But I really feel like in the previous game, there was a few times that was the case too, and he took his time a little bit too much, you know?
Yeah. Oh, Polt, I mean, a lot of people are having trouble as Terran against Protoss right now, but just do what Polt does, guys. I mean, it can't be that difficult, right? But yeah, maybe it is. Emulating this is difficult indeed. We have that pylon over to the left-hand side for StarDust that could warp in some Zealots. There is a little bit of an engagement down to the bottom right that will get fended off here by StarDust.
Yeah, the pylon on the left-hand side is very important. Actually, StarDust warping in a Templar there. I was thinking maybe you should send some Zealots into that base, because there is no bunker, but then once you do it once, the Terran will react by throwing down the bunker immediately, then you can't do it again. So he's going to wait a little bit maybe, but this could be seen. Oh, he's warping in Zealots now. Storm is not available on that one Templar yet. If Polt finds this, it will be great for him. He will defend against it, and that will be even more units that die for nothing for StarDust. But looks like he's not going to see it.
Yeah, it's just out of vision of that watchtower, so...
The Dark Shrine is finished, by the way.
All right, well, could Wappen Dark Templar today. He's going to send Zealots to this third as well as go for a Storm, maybe. He pulls straight on out of the third, and this will actually drop a Storm, catching a few of these workers, so this is a good move. He also drops Storms to deter Polt from pushing on at the natural.
Yeah, and this is very important here. If you let a Terran be saturated on 3 bases, you don't do any economic damage, and you let him get a bunch of ghosts, you're going to be in a lot of trouble. This is what we saw last game. StarDust really trying to prevent Polt from getting too many ghosts, but Polt trying to prevent StarDust from reaching his ultimate Death Ball composition and comfortable position on 5 bases with cannons and Templars everywhere. So they are both trying to achieve something very, very important here, but Polt definitely getting the better end of it right now, and he's getting a Sensor Tower actually. This is interesting.
Oh, where is he getting it?
At his 3rd base.
Oh, okay, actually. This is a little bit of a changer, but I suppose it does make a bit of sense here.
Yeah, against War Prism and Zealots run by, this is going to help. This could get sniped very quickly, though.
Especially since there's a high ground above the 3rd base as well. It does it does cause you a little bit of a harder time actually having vision up there whilst pressuring.
That natural. He needs Photon Overcharge used here and some nice storms, but those Templars, they just were walked in.
Oh.
They don't have the energy.
Very nice snipes there. EMPs will hit all of that, and that is causing a lot of problems in terms of this defense. He's also pressuring on at the 3rd base as well here. Polt is absolutely running StarDust ragged. 120 army supply to 32. GG, well played. Polt, the absolute machine, demolishes StarDust in that 2nd game after such a heated game number 1. Wow, what a series to open up the day, Todd.
This is promising to be a great day of StarCraft.
Oh yes. After that first series, we both said at the very beginning, these two, in terms of this match especially, are in the shape of their lives. And they were 9-1 in their previous series, both of them, but now StarDust goes down to 9-2.
And you know, I favored Polt a little going into this match, as I said before, but it proved to be more than that for him, of an advantage. This, my friends, is how you play Terran versus Protoss.
That was a crazy game. That was a fantastic, fantastic series. What a treat to behold. Polt now advances on to that winners game. He's going to be waiting for the next player to advance on from him between Jaedong and Mana. And that's actually going to be our next series, which is going to be cool.
It always felt for a long time in this matchup like you needed to basically do things that almost nobody can do for a Terran to be able to win. We saw Teja be the Terran that was very, very successful in Terran versus Protoss and always playing like those games where you basically don't make a single mistake throughout the entire game. You don't get stormed, you get enough ghosts, you scan everywhere, and even though your opponent makes... Remember those games versus Rain in the World Finals Season 2? Not a single storm hit him. Not ever. He was always ready for everything. He had perfect vision, perfect map awareness. And now, even though he got hit by a lot of storm, that was extremely good map awareness, anticipation, everything by Polt. Micro, army composition. There was a very few mistakes here and there, but overall, this was such high-level Terran versus Protoss play that I will say that Polt right now is the favorite to basically beat most of the Protoss in this tournament. It's going to be very hard to beat this guy if you're a Protoss. After having seen this...
Yeah, it's crazy. All right, well, without further ado, guys, I would love to hear from the winner. So, let's go over to Polt and Paul.
Thank you very much, guys. Great commentary, as always, on the 2-map win for CM Storm Polt, who is with me. Congratulations, first of all, great victory. Let's talk about map 1 first, because it was a long game, and it seemed to us like sometimes you were ahead, sometimes you were in control, and then sometimes StarDust seemed to kind of peg you back, and then he was ahead, and then you were ahead, and then he was ahead, and it just, we never knew which way it was going to go. Were you at any point concerned in map 1 that it wasn't going to work out for you?
I think at first I was ahead because fortunately I could kill the Dark Templar in my base. Fortunately I had one scan and I got it, and at just that time the Marines out and killed it. So I was a little bit ahead, but so I just tried to play macro games, but when I get stormed, just one time I lose my concentration, then it goes to his. And then at the time, from the time I play my best because I'm behind. And again, I get stormed. Yeah.
Yeah, the storms were quite heavy, weren't they? The good storms to start with really did make you go, and you kind of had to pull back. And then his observer placement was also very good as well, because he saw everything you were doing to start with, but slowly you managed to break him down. Explain to me how you managed to do that.
Actually, I think, of course, it's better to kill observer, but I can't kill every single observer, so there's chance he can see my army movement. So I think basically I do the way, even though he sees everything, I can win. I mean, so I usually split my armies in 2 ways or 3 ways. So even though he knows where I'm coming, it's kind of difficult to defend everything.
Okay, so long game, map 1, but you win it. It's like, whew, okay, great. What did you think about map 2? Did you have a plan going in? Did you think, okay, I need to change something now?
I just saw the Twilight Council, so I thought he will not the Dark Templar thing 2 times, so it should be that blink thing. Maybe it could be all in or not all in. Anyway, he will a little bit pressure me, because I don't know if he's all-inning or not. So I just tried to counter him at the party side, and it worked.
It absolutely worked. You'll go up against Mana or Jaedong in the next game. If we're being honest, I hope Mana isn't watching this quite now, but I think Jaedong is probably the favourite. So you've got a little bit of rivalry going on with Jaedong now. It's been fun watching you play against each other. Are you looking forward to playing him again?
Yeah, of course I'm looking forward to play him again, but he's the last Zerg, and I want to play him in the finals, so this is not the time.
So you want him to go through?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Well, we'll have to find out whether that works out or not. CM Storm Polt is your first winner of the day, though, in Group C. He will go through to play either Mana or Jaedong, which is coming up next. Before we get that, though, let's get some analysis on just how this man won his match 2-0.
Thank you very much, Red Eye, and here I am with my screen of knowledge once more. And what a fantastic series to kick the day off here on day 3 of the Intel Extreme Masters. And I know game 1 was beautiful, it was amazing, but there was way too much to actually cover for just a couple of minutes over on this screen. So what I want to do is jump into game 2. And even though Polt answered in the interview about game 2, he was like, yeah, I wasn't too sure what he was doing. I thought he might pressure me, and I tried to counter him. Let's actually look how we countered him and how sick of a play that Polt's played off, because a lot of rage right now is about Protoss, and especially Blink on this map. Let's see what Polt does to combat the regular Blink play. So as we can load in from this position, he's opened up for the Reaper expansion. The Reaper is going to jump into the main base, and I guess this is a good start for him because he sees the Twilight Council, right? So when he comes in from this position, he already has a plan in motion, and the plan is really, really intelligent. As Caloris mentioned, he went to the Seoul National University and stuff. Maybe that helped, I don't know. But as we can see, he comes back, and from this point, what he's going to look to do is whenever a Protoss player goes Blink, they're going to pull the Mothership Core out, they're going to use Stalkers and get over to the other side, but Polt was a smart little cookie. He's got the Xel'Naga Tower with the Reaper, so he sees everything. It takes map control, basically, as the Reaper. That's what you're going to do. He doesn't want to kind of go in to get further information. He risks losing the Reaper, and he's already got in his mind what he wants to do. So from this position, he holds the Xel'Naga Tower. Look at his army movement already. He holds the other one. So from this position, what he's waiting for is the Protoss player, the Blink player in this regard, to move out, and he moves in. And this was almost, you could say, the game-winning movement, because if it wasn't for this, then we could have seen the regular play, the regular Blink play, and it could have caught him off guard. So with the Reaper and the Xel'Naga Tower, he sees the Mothership Core. If you can fast-forward it a little bit, he's holding his army over here. He sees the Mothership Core movement out, and as soon as he sees this, then he goes in. And this was a game-winning move. It was really, really nicely played. Gets into the mineral line, starts killing probes. The Mothership Core votes an overcharge, not available because he's elsewhere. Stalkers have to be walked in to defend, and then by the end of this, once it's actually been defended, if we look at Polt's setup and then StarDust setup, and we pause it and look at Polt back at home, he's got bunkers, he's got starports on the way, or the starport on the way, he's got 3 barracks, he's got units, and he was able to hold on, while buying enough time, while slowing StarDust down. And then from this position, StarDust majorly behind in supply, 48 to 64. And if you fast forward it, StarDust has to abort the plan and he goes over for armor and then starts taking gases and just kind of moves on from that position. That move was very intelligent, but there's always a do not try this at home, because if that happens, I mean, if you try to do that, if the Stalkers know you're there, you are dead. And that's the big part of this, because Stalkers can catch that army and kill it quite easily. They have Blink. And it was really well done because it wasn't expected. And maybe we won't see too much more of that, but Polt brought it and it gave him a win. Congratulations, Polt, and an awesome start to the day. Red Eye, take it away.
Thank you very much. Awesome start to the analysis of the day as well. Nicely broken down there, and that's how Terran can beat Protoss. Now you know. But does come with a health warning, as Sean said. Do not try this at home. Or maybe you should, and maybe we'll see less Protoss winning against Terran. Always a nice thing, as far as I'm concerned. Social media-wise today, of course, we had yesterday we had Valentine's Day, and we were given a Valentine's card at the very end of the day, which we weren't able to share with you. So I'm going to share with you now. This is all my love for StarCraft. Look at that. Look, isn't that beautiful? That's so nice. Hand-drawn, hand-coloured. That was given to us at the end of the day yesterday, and we forgot to show you that. So that was yesterday. Don't send us any more Valentines today, because it's the 15th. Now, I think there's probably something out there about the rules saying that, I don't know, it's unlucky or something if you send a Valentine's card after it's not Valentine's Day. So don't do that today. We'll think up of something more you can do to have fun. But keep the tweets coming. Use the hashtag #IEM, and you too could be featured on the show, and it can bring you fame and fortune. Or maybe not. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, though, the last remaining Zerg goes head-to-head with one of only 2 foreigners left in the tournament.